see the drippy, I'm fitted up. Hop in my car and a giddy up.
YouTube, welcome back to another video, and today I'm going to be talking to you about Property X and the growth that I want to get and achieve in that company. So we'll be talking about that in a bit, but also a life update. We're in the Pinto right now because sadly I've sold the BMW, I've sold the Z4. I loved that car, but right now I've got a lot going on. We've got an extension starting at the bungalow in just over a week's time. Buying 3 houses now at the moment. I've agreed another one, so I'm buying 3 now, which is really exciting. But of course, cash and resources low, so I need to pull money from absolutely everywhere I can get it. From my business, from my savings, and obviously a little bit from the car sale as well. Really exciting times, but as I said, sad to see the Z4 go, particularly when the sun's out like today. But for now, we're going to head to the house. I want to share with you a bit more about my plans for Property X. Just to add to what I was saying in the car, so Property X is going really well, and it's massively down to a lot of you watching. The sourcing side of the business is growing, which is, for the most part, is what this video is going to be about, how I'm going to then look to grow that even further. But yeah, I've got a huge list of investors, which I'm really proud of now. I also got a few repeat clients, which obviously that's been incredibly useful, because some of the deals that I find and send out, they are more for the experienced investors and for people that kind of know exactly what they want, they need, and they can jump on deals because of their level of experience. So 2 quick tips actually, whilst I think of them. If you are, obviously you're thinking of buying a property, whether it's through an estate agent or a sourcer, if I can make a tip to you, that would be, don't cause additional hassle or put extra stipulations on your offer. People feel like they're being really smart, really clever by saying, I will make this offer on the condition that it has a good survey and the condition that the owner does this. And they feel like they're being clever, feel like they're being smart. However, all you're doing is being counterproductive. And it's the same when you're working with a sourcer. If you're asking all these unnecessary questions or giving unnecessary stipulations, all a sourcer will want to do is no longer work with you, and they'll probably try and sell the deal on someone that maybe they've worked with before, or someone that they know is just gonna go ahead, take action, buy the house. So that's number 1. And then number 2 is, whether you're investing in South Wales, the Midlands, the Northwest, the Northeast, there are these things called leasehold houses. So not flats, which of course you have to concentrate much more on when it comes to the lease and whether they have a leasehold or a share of freehold. When it comes to a house, there are leasehold houses, and effectively they are like a freehold house. However, what's probably happened is years and years ago, some lord has owned the land, and when selling it on, he sold it on as a lease rather than the actual freehold entity. So when you see these come through and you say, oh, I'm not going to buy a leasehold house, you know, a lot of people, they don't understand what's going on there really. So they just say, no, it says leasehold, I can't buy that. Okay. Now, it's not legal advice. You check with your solicitor always. But a lot of investors that have been doing this a long time will happily buy a leasehold house because it will probably have over 900 years on the lease. It might have a peppercorn rent of £2 a year that hasn't been collected for 20 years. And they'll know that their solicitor will take out an indemnity policy in order to cover what potentially could happen or could go wrong if it ever did. And obviously with the 900-year lease, no offense to anyone watching, but you know, we're not going to be around in 900 years, sadly. So there's 2 tips for you. And the reason I mention those is I was talking to a sourcer recently, and he literally, we spoke about those 2 things together. And he told me that if someone does one of those 2 things or mentions one of those 2 things, he doesn't really work with them anyway, because they're just showing signs of inexperience. And I guess, you know, I'm not being harsh, or, you know, I'm just trying to be black and white, but he's just saying that what he would actually do then is probably go and work with someone that has bought a property off him before, someone he knows will pull the trigger, do the deal, rather than working with a new investor. And the reason that's a shame is because we want new investors coming in all the time. We want people to start and then build their portfolio. It's just those 2 things which catch people out and means therefore they might not get the deal. Anyway, that's just something I wanted to cover. But moving on, I'm going to talk to you a little bit about Property X. I want to talk to you about my goals, my vision, and how that's changed. One thing I would say is, like, if you've been watching me from the start, is that you'll know that Property X for me was all about leaving my job. It was about making enough money to free me of my job so I could do property full time. I was going to keep it as a lean business. I was going to be a one-man band. Just wanted to live the life of freedom and have more time. Now, as things progress, as things move on, as you hit that next checkpoint, I want to challenge myself. So right here, right now, on the camera, I'm holding myself accountable. I am building Property X to be a much larger business. In fact, I'm going to share and document, obviously, the process of going from 0 to 6 figures in under 12 months. Okay, so we started September last year. By September this year, I want to reach that point and obviously share it with you, how I've done it, how I've got there, the most effective ways of making money, and obviously a large portion of it comes through sourcing. So how I've done that, how I'm going to grow it. So the challenge for me is how can I grow a sourcing business to beyond just me? And it's just funny how things change. But anyway, I'll show you what that might look like on my whiteboard here. Just being transparent, obviously for me, and how my life works, how my income now works now that I've left my job. I've got 3 main revenue sources, 3 main income streams. There's a few others, but the main ones are sourcing properties, probably is paramount. There's my training program, and then what you're watching me on right now, it's called YouTube. These are my 3 sources of income, and of course right now they are filtering all into one brand, one limited company, which is Property X. Okay, so they're going like this, all in here. So this goes into one account, one business, one limited company, and then from there I distribute it 3 different directions. I say distribute, one of them is actually just reinvesting it into the business. And when I say reinvesting, I'm putting that money back in to find more deals, to try and employ people, which I'll come on to. I'm putting that money back into, I've actually paid for a couple of training courses, a couple of mentors over the years in order to up level myself, and I want to continue doing that and actually find someone that's a few steps ahead of me in the sourcing world, which I will share with you. Pay myself, got to be able to live each month. And then last of all, I've got my own property investment company. What I started this for, this is what is the priority, which is I started property to build a portfolio, and a byproduct of that is that I've managed to free myself of my job, which is amazing because I've managed to do that much quicker. If I hadn't done the sourcing and I'd just done that, it might have taken me a few more years. But now that I have got the money coming in, I want to make sure that I can build up my passive income for future years. This is the way it's working right now, and I thought it's quite useful to share that with you because a lot of people are asking me exactly what Property X is, what it does, how am I managing to do what I do. So this kind of, I guess, maps out what's going on. And as time goes on, I want to, at the moment, I'm reinvesting more. I would say that probably 70% of money is going into reinvesting or into property, and 30% is into myself. Maybe even under 30%, because I'm living off of as little as I can pay myself, as frugal life possible, and then I'm putting money back into the business or back into property to then repeat this cycle. Going forward, there's a bigger plan where I feel like Property X itself will actually, as I build this brand up and it has more money, more employees, there is another project which I'm yet to announce, and that will be months down the line. The project, the main focus right now is the 6 figures. Why am I putting a monetary figure on this? Just because I want an end goal, a milestone, which is high, or it started high, now it's becoming very achievable. I'll hit that, I'll share that with you, and then I'll set the next one. Lovely day, it says 18 degrees in the car. We've just arrived in Shoreham, and we're going to be going to looking at an office to rent. Again, a whole part of the growth, the expansion will require me to have more space. So it's time to look at some offices.
You see the drippy, I'm fitted up. Hop in my car and the giddy up. Secure the bag, yeah, I get the bus. Pick it up.
Yeah, I mean, obviously size-wise, actually it's not too bad. I thought it'd be drastically smaller, but it's not bad. And I could still have a desk and then set up a bit of room. House is the one we were in, isn't it? Yeah. Well, so the entrance is nice as well. With you don't have like a dedicated podcast room or anything like that? No. So I invest in property. I then source and help other people buy them, and then like a third arm to my business is like I do training. So sometimes in the future I'm thinking I might get some of the guys that I'm training to actually come down in person. So this is quite cool. Yeah, the North within the recent years has been incredibly popular for people like going up there and investing into. Boxes, I cannot fit in the boxes. That was interesting. Yeah, amazing to see. Obviously the plus points is like a great office space, and the fact that I could maybe hire like meeting rooms to do training for like the program members and stuff. Really like it. Obviously price is going to factor into it. I'm a small business and I've got to think about any potential costs. Going to think about it, going to compare it to another office space and then make a decision. Cappuccino to take away. Yeah. Oh, regular. Nice one, thank you very much.
Never at ease, I don't know a limit. Chasing a dream, I don't know what sleepers. I got a queen, she lit me to eat it. She ripe like a peach and she snapped me to snippet. We well overdue for that link up in person. Text me to fall through a murder, she wrote it. Still live with courage, you're doing a service. Pull up to the crib, I'm equipped with the...
So, looking at about $700 a month for a room with no windows, or about $1,100 a month for a small room with a window. I guess it would be nice to have daylight. So I'm thinking or leaning more towards somewhere I can actually see the daylight, which would be nice. Included in that isn't much, like you have to pay for quite a lot on top of that, like Wi-Fi, drinks, if you want to hire any meeting rooms. But basically my thought process behind getting an office is the fact that I think I can really double my output in terms of content like this. I can really invite more people over, more guests over, but also I can think about running some one-to-one training with program members. The cost of obviously having the office is something I really need to think about as a new business. However, the returns that I could get from it and leveling up the business could really exponentially take over the cost of actually paying for the office. So I guess following that, what I need to do is compare it with other offices that I'm going to see, and then make the comparison and then decide which one I'm going to go with going forward. But yeah, just wanted to share that as a business owner, as a small business owner, an SME that's looking to level up and get to much bigger revenues in the next few years. I just wanted to document like my thought process behind each stage, because I know there's a lot of you out there in a similar position. You know, I could just stay working from home. I might just still stay working from home. I need to compare this option versus renting an office space, hiring people, so on.
Driving on the road like I'm the only one. Shooting to the green, I talk a hole in one.
So actually, whilst we're here, whilst we're in Shoreham, I'm just driving past what used to be my old flat, which we lived in for several years. There's a load of videos back in the archives on YouTube from me doing work to this flat. And the reason I thought I'd stop you and bring you back here is just like, well, a walk down memory lane. But we were here for a few years and to be honest, didn't need any additional space. Whilst I wanted garden space, we didn't need it. But Michelle and I, my partner and I, we decided we need to move on. The reason being that when it comes to a property, that if you just stay in the same property, there is only a certain percentage of growth, particularly with a flat, that you are going to see year in, year out. Whereas we wanted to move on to that next project, that next step, that next bit of fun. But also with a bungalow, you know, over a flat comes bigger percentage in growth, bigger possibility of adding value through extensions, the garden, the driveway, whatever it is, adding bedrooms. There is more opportunity to add value. And that's what I think a lot of people miss, is using their own home as a driving force to go further with their property business, their property career. So yeah, we'll walk down memory lane. We used to live here. We love this flat. We added a bit of value. So I've had a few people over the years ask me why we didn't keep that flat when I got it up to a good standard, could have probably refinanced it at a very good price and then kept it. But there's a few factors for me really. Obviously number one being that if I'd done a let to buy, so refinanced that, pulled the money out and bought the bungalow whilst keeping that flat, then of course we'd have paid full tax on the rent because it's owned in my personal name. It's then very difficult to switch that over to a limited company because there's a lot of cost involved with doing that, and obviously very tax heavy. And then just last of all, obviously, if we then had a 3% surcharge on the bungalow that I was buying, because it would be considered a second property on the price that we paid for the bungalow, which is $290, you know, that's a whole big cost as well, which would have taken, you know, a year or two's rent to even come close to covering that cost. So decided to sell. Sometimes you've got to know when it's best to push on, sell, and then make more of an opportunity of that next step. So that's what we did. Right, back at HQ, AKA my house. I want to talk to you a bit more about maybe hiring someone. So productive morning. I want to talk to you a little bit about maybe hiring someone. So I think for me, a current bottleneck is the amount of deals that I can find for my business. I've got a huge investor list, which is thanks to you all watching through YouTube, through Instagram. I've managed to create a list of over 850 investors. So when I'm sending deals out, you know, there is a huge amount of people out there, you guys, that are hungry for deals. You know, it's all led by the numbers. So I've got to find good properties, I've got to secure them, ideally off market, but even if they are on market, secure them at a very good price, you know, send them out to you. However, at the moment, I'm kind of capped. Some months I'm doing 2, some months I'm doing 4. My best months have been up at 6 or 7 a month. Now, whilst there are some repeat buyers, I want to make sure that as many of those deals are coming out to the list. So whilst some of them don't make it to the list because they are going to buyers I've already worked with, I want to get more properties out to the list, so then there's more of you that I can work with. So at the moment, a huge bottleneck for me is actually finding enough deals. And that's because maybe I'm not in the Northwest enough, I'm not doing enough marketing, enough viewings, and I'm not in maybe other areas enough. So a little while back, I took on someone for Property X who has been testing out and piloting this model for me in West Yorkshire. So you might have seen, if you're on the list, a few deals coming up in West Yorkshire since sort of January, February time. And that is really someone working and operating in that area for me and with me. So any houses that I want to view, any offers we want to make, you know, that person is on the ground finding the deals. We then obviously create the packs together, create the video walkthroughs, create the refurb spec sheet, and then we send them out. And I want to take that model now that it's proven and it's working, and then I want to take that to Liverpool, which of course is my stomping ground for investing. I am now starting to think about hiring someone. Now, please don't use that as an opportunity to like send me an application, because I've got very, very strict criteria and I'm not quite ready for it. But that's where I go from here. That's where the growth is going to level up, and that's part of what I want to share on this channel. If I do say so myself, something that I feel like I've done well over the years is document what I do, but also say I'm going to do something and then do it and show you the process of doing it. So that's exactly what I'm doing with the growth of Property X. Maybe if Tom can throw some things on the screen here, I basically want for someone to sign up to the list. I want a very easy process. Sign up to the list, get sent deals, obviously purchase that deal with me, maybe use the project management side, and then repeat. And I want to get to the point where I'm helping not people just buy one property, but I want to help them buy and build a whole portfolio through this service. And I'm only going to do that, A, by having enough deals coming through, but B, by obviously providing good deals, good customer service, taking the stress off of you, helping with the project management, making sure the refurbs are getting done, and obviously with the numbers working out as they should do. So Property X isn't just the first results-led business in terms of training, but it's going to become one of the #1 in terms of reputation for sourcing. Again, maybe not quantity, but the quality and the customer service will be what it's known for. And that side of my business is gonna really take off in the next 1 to 2 years. And I'm putting it out there on video so that you can keep me accountable. Anyway, hope this video has been useful. Appreciate you watching. It's gonna be more stuff like this coming soon. So I'll see you next week.